Hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode of the Monarchy app. Today we're going to be talking about all the different changes that will be happening in the UK now that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has passed away. We'll also be talking about some of the things that you have seen on television, and I will hopefully be able to explain some of them if any of you have any questions. The first thing you would have seen after Her Majesty passed away would have been an event called the Royal Proclamation. Now this is a very important event when the King goes to St James's Palace in London and meets the Privy Council and the Ascension Council. This is comprised of very important members of the UK national government and even members of the Royal Court. The Royal Proclamation is an agreement that the King has to sign before they become monarch. The agreement is basically a set of rules of how the King or Queen should behave, and because we are a constitutional monarchy, it means that the King has to work with Parliament. This goes back for at least 300 years to an event called the Glorious Revolution. Before that, kings and queens of England had pretty much unlimited power. The Glorious Revolution was an agreement where the King and Queen agreed to rule with Parliament to become more democratic. This Royal Proclamation Council happened on September the 10th. After the King signed the agreement, the court heralds went onto the balcony at St James's Palace and formally announced the King's ascension to the throne and the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Now the reason why the heralds are dressed the way they are is for attention. Many hundreds of years ago, before post boxes or even before text messages, to get messages around the country, you had to physically send people throughout the country to read the messages in public. Now, to do this, they had to stand out, hence why they wear really bright colours so everyone can see them. They then read messages from a piece of paper, and that message comes directly from the King or Queen themselves. On Monday, many of you would have watched Her Majesty the late Queen's funeral. These are actually reserved for very important people, such as kings and queens, or people who have done great service to the country. For example, Winston Churchill was given a ceremonial funeral. The main difference between a standard funeral in the UK and a ceremonial funeral is the fact that the coffin is pulled by Royal Navy sailors. Now this only goes back 100 years to Queen Victoria's funeral. Apparently the horses pulling her coffin were not behaving very well, and it was generally worried that they would actually run away, so it was decided to use sailors to pull the coffin. Some of you will be wondering what's going to change now that Her Majesty the Queen has gone. Well, believe it or not, there will be some changes, and some of them will be happening quite soon. For example, money. If you look at money today, you'll see a picture of the Queen. These will be replaced by pictures of King Charles III. But don't worry, you'll still be able to use the coins and notes with pictures of the Queen on for quite a while to come. But eventually you will be getting the new money with the King's image on. Another thing that's going to be changing will be stamps. The Queen's head will be replaced by King Charles III. Another thing that will be changing is something called a cipher. For example, if you look at a policeman's helmet, you'll see the words ER. This stands for Elizabeth Regina. This will be changed to CR in the future, which will stand for Charles Rex. Also, if you look at a postbox, you will also see ER on it. However, these are unlikely to change anytime soon because postboxes are very expensive, and to actually replace the cipher with King Charles III would cost a lot of money. In fact, if you look at places on Portland, you can still find postboxes with the royal cipher of the Queen's father, and he passed away almost 70 years ago. Another thing that will be changing is passports. If you have a look at your passport, it will say the words Her Britannic Majesty. This will change to His Britannic Majesty. And finally, the national anthem, as you know, is God Save the Queen. This has now changed to God Save the King. Well, I hope that answers some questions that you may have. If you have any others, feel free to approach me or any member of staff at Muntzeys, and I'm sure they'll be happy to tell you. Goodbye.